everyone please be seated? And welcome Dean Agustin Rayo to the lectern.
Welcome, everyone. I am the Dean of the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. And I'm honored to be here today with our graduates. And I'm delighted that our graduates are not alone. They're here with family and loved ones and mentors. And we should thank these family and loved ones and mentors for their constant support and encouragement. I'm an MIT PhD, so I once sat exactly where you are today. MIT took a chance on me. I was a nerdy kid from Mexico City. I was not admitted at any university except for MIT. And MIT changed my life. So it's not just that that was the first time I felt like I really belonged, the first time I really felt like I was at home. But it also structured my mind so that I could embrace the future, just like your mind has now been structured so that you can embrace the future. Many of you have traveled a long way to get here, and that's partly because many of you come from all over the world, but also because many of you have had to overcome obstacles to get here. So I congratulate you, and you should be really, really proud. And your families and loved ones should be very, very proud. You've, of course, specialized in different fields, but I want to put to you that you share a common bond. Because advances in science and engineering have improved our lives in countless ways. But the truth is that science and engineering blind are not going to make the world a better place. If you really want to make the world a better place, you need to understand how it works. And that means understanding the political, economic, social, ethical, human implications of what we do. And that is why what you're doing is so important, and why you truly are the next generation of people who are going to make the world a better place. You've all left your mark at MIT through your research, and also through the relationships that you've built. And I hope that you will both think of MIT as your home for the rest of your lives, and that those relationships will continue to thrive throughout your lives. We have a fabulous student speaker, Meicen Sun. She is an expert in the political economy of information. She graduated from our wonderful political science PhD program, and she's now a postdoctoral fellow at Stanford as part of their program on democracy and the internet. And in the fall, she's going to be starting as a faculty member at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Meicen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dean Rayo. Thank you all for this opportunity. Special shout out to my mom on her first ever trip out of Asia. For us social scientists of the crass, positivist kind, our professional success is measured in no small part by our ability to not just use, but mind you, exploit this thing called exogenous shocks. What's that in English? To put that simply, it's one of those big, unexpected events that have some sort of a beyond our control flavor to them. Natural disasters used to be a favorite before, of course, we started taking note of the anthropogenic aspect of what happens out there. Same goes for pandemics. You get the idea. If you've ever had the misfortune of sharing an office space with one of us, you've probably seen the unhealthy degree of obsession with just how exogenous our chosen shock is. The less control people have over the situation, the better. The more clueless they are, the better, just so that they can't possibly have gamed it. If that is not immediately obvious, we would spend 2 solid chapters in our dissertation using just the right concoction of assumptions and statistical contortions to convince you why, under the particular circumstances, an almost exogenous shock is as good as a real one, and treatment assignment is as if random. The mere sound of an exogenous shock has become our drug, our antidepressant, our stimulant, and dare I say, our aphrodisiac. But enough about what got us here. This is, after all, a moment of celebration. For me, there can never be a moment of celebration without a moment of truth, and that's what I'm going to do now. The billowing ropes and the smiling faces are for the gram only. What does finishing during a pandemic actually look like, you ask? For some of us, it means struggling with new physical and mental illnesses while writing thank you emails for a job we know we won't be getting and counting the days before our visa expires. For some of us, it means distracting ourselves from the worsening financial insecurity by writing the literature review section for the 10th or the 20th grant application alone in our 100 square feet room. For still others, it means coping with the loss of life, grief, bereavement, that sudden feeling of utter helplessness encapsulated in the rushed breath between lines of code that still need debugging, barely enough to form a coherent sentence to the emergency helpline operator at 3 a.m. These scenarios may well seem made up, except the last one at least did happen to none other than myself. I lost my father toward the very end of my PhD career as I was finishing up my dissertation and my job search. When we used to chat over text, on video, he used to say, just 2.5 more years to go. Just 2 more years to go. By that, he meant my PhD graduation ceremony, the one thing he had told me over and over again that he had to live to see. That countdown froze at about the 1-year mark. I did not lose my father to COVID, but I wasn't able to say goodbye to him as the combined result of the so-called zero COVID policy on one side of the Pacific and a set of rather stringent immigration restrictions on the other. I was so oblivious to what would come between us that I'm struggling to remember the very last words that I said to him in person. It certainly wasn't a goodbye, but more along the lines of, I'll see you next summer, yeah? Or, I should be back pretty soon. Natural disasters and pandemics have undoubtedly taken their toll, but it's the human decisions that either shorten or prolong the suffering. From a pandemic protocol to immigration policy, these are choices made by what often turns out to be an awfully small number of people. Whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, with all the knowledge, power, and hype, deserved and otherwise, that comes with an advanced degree from MIT, we just may find ourselves in positions where the actions we take, the words we speak, the numbers we crunch, can very possibly turn that casual goodbye at a small town bus terminal from a see you later to a till next lifetime. We've spent the better part of our academic training studying the effect of the unexpected. What a comforting thought, that something is so far beyond our control that we might as well just focus on its consequences. Since day one, we've been told, your job is to analyze, not to advise, to think, not to do. Now that I'm minutes from getting my degree, however, I have come to believe that every analysis has the power to create, to destroy, and to precipitate the next exogenous shock somewhere. For our class on political economy with Professors Suzanne Berger and Michael Puri here at SHAS, we read the works by the sociologist Donald McKinsey. There he showed that finance models, many having been developed right here at our great institute, even though they were intended to only theorize about the market, they nonetheless ended up shaping the market in such catastrophic ways as to wreck the lives of millions. As painstaking as it is to convince reviewer number 2 that the shock is the most exogenous shock as far as shocks go, doing so shields us from a certain kind of responsibility. It relieves us of the duty to think how, just as someone's research paper somewhere has informed each and every one of the decisions that culminated into the draconian policies we've seen, our own analyses may just be the pixie dust for the next draconian policy on the horizon. By simply being a part of this crowd, we have gotten that much closer to turning a proposal into a plan into an outcome, a possibility into a reality, or a possibility into an impossibility, all while staying dangerously close to the tantalizing, all too convenient escape clause. We're only here to analyze. With the remaining few minutes that I have, I would like to share with you a few, not lessons, but really just bite-sized things I've learned in the past few years with the hope that they will resonate with my fellow graduates. I'll stick to the magic number 3. First, I have wondered what makes us here today. My best answer is that we're here because we're after something bigger than ourselves, some kind of a vision. It could be a theory that explains, an initiative that empowers, an artwork that inspires. Whatever it is, it will continue to do so long after we are gone. We are here in search of something that will survive our naysayers and ourselves. It's what gives us that special kind of high that powers us through like fireballs in the 8-month-long Cambridge winters. But before graduate school, when we were busy chasing the best grades, the top programs, the most prestigious careers, the metrics were chosen for us. We were chosen. We did not choose. For many of us, until MIT, we hadn't really had to articulate our vision, even to ourselves. Ironically, our first encounter with our own vision is often through the mouths of the naysayers. This makes no sense. That's not going to work. It's not how the world is set up. Or, sometimes phrased a little differently, you won't find data. The framework is not parsimonious. This is not a sufficiently novel contribution. Thanks to our naysayers, we have had the opportunity to reflect, refine, and now rejoice more than ever in the conviction of what will work. Second, I have learned that there's so much more in us than we realize. In the weeks when my inbox was flooded with my condolences amid peak late-stage PhD stress, I did wonder how and whether I would make it out in one piece. Now, looking back, I know that there's an extraordinary system built into all of us that gets activated in moments of crisis. But in order for that system to work its magic, we must first take the best care of ourselves. Beast mode isn't the opposite of being kind to yourself. Rather, being kind to yourself makes beast mode possible when you need it to happen. When in doubt, get that therapy session. When you pull that all-nighter, know it's all written up in your health debt. If somebody judges, shames, or berates you for needing 8 hours of sleep, seek help immediately for them. Third, I have learned to stay alert, stay agile, and stand ready to act, because things may just come to an end before you know it, because you may never have another chance to tell them that you love them, and because we have made it all the way from there to here, and now all that's left to do is take that plunge and make that splash. Congratulations to us all.
Thank you, Meicen. So we now turn to the conferral of degrees, and I'm advised that I need to say the following words in this order in order for this to count. The faculty of the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences is declared convened. So Meicen will be the first graduate to be recognized. After that, we're going to turn to the conferral of master's degrees. And finally, we'll proceed to the conferral of doctoral degrees in the investiture of doctoral hoods, which will identify their bearers as members of the Academy. So, let us meet MIT's newest scholars. With their graduation today, we will recognize their achievement and welcome them as peers.
Awarding the hood for the Doctor of Philosophy on behalf of the Department of Political Science, Professor David Singer, Department Head. Meicen Sun, Doctor of Philosophy. Master of Science in Data Economics and Development Policy, Jan Bourgeois. Mohammed El Habib Chengwiti Ansari. Tomas Dulka. Tom Harris. Rodolfo Elisa Lituri Lopez. Shazor Khan. Angelo Kisly Marino. Luis Lopez de Rivera Munoz. Leonardo Enrico Mendez. Emily Porter. Ilyas Suvanov. Mark G. Tan. Lin Ji Wang. Chuka Ezioguine. Nathan Lazarus. Master of Science in Comparative Media Studies, Shrusti Kamat. Amber Reyes. Anis Sands. Master of Science in Political Science, Milan Feyulu. Master of Science in Linguistics, John Dennis. Please give a round of applause for our master's degree recipients. Doctoral hoods will now be invested. Investing hoods for the Doctor of Philosophy on behalf of the Department of Economics, Professor Glenn Ellison, Department Head, and Associate Head Arnaud Costino. Daniel Aronoff. Yizhang Alden Chen. Jonathan Cohen. Joel Flynn. Adam Harris. Giacomo Lanzani. Andre Medeiros Stutman. Tai Mei An Nguyen. Abigail Ostraker. Indira Puri. Garima Sharma. Joseph Shayani. Raul Singh. John Sturm. Diana Sverdlin Lisker. Martina Ucholi. Suhas Vijaykumar. Margaret Yellen. Investing hoods for the Doctor of Philosophy on behalf of the program in History, Anthropology, and Science, Technology, and Society, Professor Deborah Fitzgerald, Department Head. Rajul Kochar. Elena Sobrino. Michelle Spector. John Tilko. Investing hoods for the Doctor of Philosophy in Linguistics on behalf of the Department of Linguistics and Philosophy, Professor Daniel Fox, Department Head. Tatiana Bondarenko. Investing hoods for the Doctor of Philosophy in Philosophy on behalf of the Department of Linguistics and Philosophy, Professor Roger White. Haley Schilling. Investing hoods for the Doctor of Philosophy on behalf of the Department of Political Science, Professor David Singer, Department Head. Paige Boland. Aidan Milleth. Gabriel Namis. Blair Reed. Emilia Simonson. Lukas Walters Freiheit. Please give a round of applause for our doctoral degree recipients.
With this, we conclude the degree conferral ceremony and the investiture of doctoral hoods. I now invite the faculty to join me in congratulating our master's degree candidates and welcoming our doctoral graduates to the Academy. Congratulations.